actual exercises, supplements, timing, sleeping, things to do with the skin, things to do with the hair, and so on. And guess what? He actually managed to get, in a nutshell, everything by the way that I'm going to see here is actually published on his blueprint publicly on the internet. And his name is Ryan Johnson. And the result was he actually reversed his age by 5 years. That's the actual age. And at the same time, all the biomarkers to do with the actual cell age. Very fascinating. Of course, now the question is how all of this is linked to what we're trying to actually say today. And simply because the body has a lot of flows, signals that are actually moving all around. And then with his experiments, he is the most measured man in history. He actually experimented with his own body, of course, in a controlled manner. And eventually, he had a lot of factors, indicators that he actually need to link together to see these flows of signals and actual systems that we have within our own body. All right, so this is fine. Where does that take us? Let's actually see what we're going to talk about. So what we're going to talk about, I'm going to introduce myself. I think Tahani actually did not leave anything to me, but I'm going to try to add a thing or two. We're going to get into the whole concept of chaos engineering, what it is, why do we actually even need it, where did it start, IT, why are we even talking about it, and OT, because an OT does not really link together. Right? And then we get into the main principles, and then of course I'm going to introduce you to the apes. That's the whole point. We're going to meet the apes, and then a little bit of maybe business related, because technically you can talk about a lot of things, get into the benefits, the ROI, and then of course the actual challenges and how we actually go about it. All right? All good? All good out there? Yeah? All right. A lot of phones here. All right. Okay. So let me start 20-year experience. I started technically. I was in the OT, went to the IT, went back again to the OT. Across the Middle East, in a nutshell. I have a book that's going to be released soon, inshallah. I worked in more than 10 industries because I used to commercial consultancy, so it was somehow an advantage to look at different things from different angles, so I think go back to the OT. Worked 5 years plus within the Air Force, and I think maybe, okay, forget about the certifications. All that it says basically proves that I just sat down, read a lot of books, and just did the exam. And of course, one book, but I mean, that's what it means. All right, so going ahead, what is chaos engineering? Anyone, by the way, familiar with the concept? Chaos engineering? Perfect, so I can say whatever I want. All right. So chaos engineering is not something really new. It's a theory, right? And actually, it was ported into software engineering. In the concept of let's have a controlled design chaos that if you put the right hypothesis and give it actual, maybe real scenarios, we can actually predict how things will behave, not because we're just giving theories, but we're actually emulating, we're actually doing the activities as if they happen in real time. As a definition, it's very important. So it's a discipline. We're trying to experiment on actual systems in order to do what? To build confidence, right? In systems capability to withstand certain turbulent conditions, factors. And the funny part is it's actually in production. And hear me out, I understand OT production is the last thing that we want to be impacted. But why did we even have chaos engineering? So the biggest names in the industry, I'm talking about cloud providers, I'm talking about Netflix, AWS, Facebook, and so on. They all actually have chaos engineering established within their cloud practices. So there's a reason that we have a lot of micro services within the cloud. There is literally that picture of lots of flows going around. We can't even fathom to know what's going to happen if we have a simple disconnection in any of the cables that there's, right? We do have our resiliency, or let's say redundancy tests as well that happens, I don't know, annually, once, twice a year, 4 times a year, right? But what they actually tell us, it's only a 0 or a 1, which means, yes, it works, it went ahead or not. When a real scenario incident happens, things go bad ways, you don't know exactly what to do. Yes, you have your playbooks, you have your response plan. People generally expect on a procedure level what to do, but then we do not really know what is the actual behavior of any system. Each incident actually will be different. Whether it is an outbreak, whether it is a malware related, whether it is ransomware, it's all behaving differently. Of course, technically, in terms of the attack vector, what to do with it, and how to eradicate, we know that. But the question is, why to wait until it happens? Why can't we build systems that is actually resilient? Right, so yesterday, and of course, by yesterday, it could be as well today, a lot of our own organizations, specific sites, legacy systems, and I generally know if it works, doesn't even work. We do have assets generating revenue or actual facilities that are actually providing services to either people, communities, and so on based on control systems. So that's fine. And the idea really is not to disrupt that. So in those days, we used to have totally isolated systems or environments. No one talks about OT except in the OT. IT was just like the laptop engineers, like the support systems. We're just playing out. And by the way, I'm OT and IT, so feel free to attack both. All right. So it's presumed secure because of this isolation. Basically, right? There is no integration. It's not known, so it's not targeted per se. And even if it's going to be targeted by name, they're going to actually target the public spaces, right? In the OT, we really care about what reliability, safety, integrity. So actually, things can actually be working. We predict how things will work, how the process and output will actually be. We have, I'm going to put this with me in asterisk, less changes, I would say, right? And even the frequency of changes are actually less. Of course, in comparison to IT, that's for sure, and in comparison to today's OT environment. All right. So all of this, I think it links nicely with the question that came from one of the gentlemen regarding how do we actually assess the effectiveness of controls in our environment. And the truth is, right now, currently, we do have visibility, right? Even we, based on a lot of things, passive, visibility and so on. But from a control perspective, do we actually know? Do we have confidence in if we actually got hit by any kind of attack, that the system will behave the same way it was designed for? In a greenfield environment, we design everything the right way correctly. Of course, giving into consideration the time, budget, and so on. But then the moment we go into operations, or maybe if there is an existing brownfield, it is really difficult to do anything. And really the motto will be, if it works, if it's working, we have our turnarounds, we try to do maintenance, we try to do, introduce all the checks that we want to run within those turnarounds. Generally, of course, and we have the health checkups from the OEMs, even from our engineers and so on. And things are actually working for it, right? But then you have this new IT stuff coming from the business around convergence, and you want to actually have visibility, you want to actually link the data, you want to actually know if we should be shutting down now, or we should be actually continuing for a while based on ERP systems, which right now they're actually on the cloud, and then yes, we're figuring out the control module, and we have secure segregation between IT and OT. All of that is fine, but that means we have more changes in the OT right now. Yes, we do have manual change. Yes, we do have people on the ground as well who's actually following that. Still, we're talking about a bit of rigidness in comparison to the IT. And it makes sense as well. There's a totally different by nature between IT and OT. Now, today we have a convergence between IT and OT. We are targeted by name, regardless of whether it is the IT or the OT, it's going to be targeted. In fact, nowadays, you're going to be targeted, your OT will be targeted through IT. They're converged. And you can say, yes, we have a data line in some way. Believe it or not, there are different ways to actually do this. Whether it's a simple USB, and yes, we now such that long age, that was the way, but until today, this is actually possible, right? With a flashy 2 or 1 tera of USB just beside the site or the location, someone will take it in. Of course, you can still have your own, let's say, disabling all the USBs and media. However, that person might be the person who would actually allow to have an exception so they can actually bring in updates or patches and so on. All right. By the way, chaos, this noise is actually part of the chaos that we're going to introduce today. So just hold on. All right. Going ahead. So really the objective is we want to be proactive. We want to have a way to actually induce ourselves chaos in the OT environment. We're going to actually rub things in the OT. And it's a concept. Again, we're not talking about something that's already in place. We're talking about we want to port the theory and the application of chaos engineering from the IT and the cloud, from the likes of Netflix, Amazon, and so on, and actually try to take whatever is applicable within the OT environment. Fair enough? With me? All good?
Good.
Yeah?
Yep.
Back there? All right. Go ahead. So again, do we have confidence in our environment? The truth is, yes and no. General KPIs, they say yes. General reports from control assessments, they say yes. But we don't really have 100% confidence. Otherwise, why do we have incidents, right? Why do we have errors and so on? And we have the training in place, but we want to minimize that. We're doing everything possible. So yes, we're reducing the risk. We're actually reducing the economic environment, reducing the threat landscape. We're actually